All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Well, welcome everyone to this call that we're having today here. Reference the Nikken Knowledge Talks we're calling this. Go ahead and turn this music off. I would like to briefly introduce our guest today that we have here for the purpose of sharing out our knowledge about some of the benefits and of the Nikken products, and also and specifically about America's #1 killer, heart disease. And so today we have the honor of speaking with Dr. Ash Ekholm, Spain.
Hi, everybody.
And she's calling in from California, and she is a doctor, osteopathic doctor with a vast medical background that I'll let her introduce. And then we'll introduce Ron Mator, who is living in South Carolina, who is a heart disease survivor. So, Dr. Ash, if you would, real quick, give us a basic introduction about yourself.
Sure, be happy to. Well, I grew up in South Dakota and went to nursing school at the University of Miami, Florida. Then osteopathic medical school in Missouri. And since I hadn't seen the Pacific Northwest, I practiced for 23 years in Portland, Oregon, and had a private practice, urgent care. Then I got tired of having web feet and being in the rain all the time. So I moved to Southern California, and I've worked basically family practice, community clinics, and hyperbaric treatment programs. And right now I'm in Southern California working in urgent cares, as well as doing telemedicine. But my real love in life is working with Nikken, and I've been with Nikken since 2001. And for those of you who are in Nikken will understand the ranking. I'm a platinum in Nikken.
Very good. Thank you very much. And thank you for your time today as we go through some of this heart disease and try to educate at least our Nikken family and some people that just need to have general knowledge about the disease itself and what can be done from a prevention or response. So with that, Ron, thank you, sir, for your time today. If you would briefly introduce yourself.
My name is Ron Jennings. A lot of people call me Mater. I guess that's why it showed up on the screen. I've been at Nikken since 2003, and I'm a silver wellness consultant. And I do ride a Harley, and I've been all over the United States about 300,000 miles since last 35 years, and I retired from Duke Energy in 2001. And after having 8 heart attacks since 95, I'm just happy to be here.
Very good. We'll get into some of those details about your heart. You said 8 heart attacks?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get into some of this in a little bit. So first thing I'd like to do is put out our general disclaimer on these calls that Nikken does not make medical claims or any medical guarantees. But however, we do have millions of people around the world, and specifically here in the United States, who have shared their personal experiences. And that's really what we're trying to do today is combining a little bit of medical knowledge and technical knowledge about the body with these experiences. So
Rick, if I could make a comment there. As an osteopathic physician, I was taught that if you give the body what it needs, it heals itself. And basically, I think that's really how Nikken technologies and solutions work, is we're basically putting the body in an environment where it gets what it needs, and it knows what to do, and basically puts everything back in balance and back in order, and it basically heals itself.
Absolutely. And we're going to go into that. And thank you, Dr. Ash. The key thing here is our disclaimer. We don't want to get Nikken in trouble or any of the Nikken consultants. So with that, a life in balance, great lead in, Dr. Ash. At Nikken, we live by the philosophy of a life in balance with a healthy body, mind, family, society, and finances. Our company and our lives pretty much are built on these principles of humans being more and the 5 pillars of health. So with that, let's get into some medical background of our nation. The current status, and by the way, these slides are adapted from Dr. Gary Linder. He loaned us, so we built up and adapted his slides, and that's where the initial data is coming from in his research out of California. So, but the current status of healthcare in the United States, in 1985, it was a $250 billion industry. In 2013, and we don't have the latest figures, it was a $2.8 trillion industry. And these are stats that are published by the CDC and various sites. There's a national statistics site that they're pulling from. It's also been published in Time magazine multiple times. On average, this is about, on average, $9,000 per person per year for all the people just in the United States. So currently in the U.S., and these are more statistics from the CDC, 1 out of 2 adults has at least one chronic illness. And I'm sure Dr. Ash will go into some of this in more detail, but by the age 65, 80% of us have at least one or more chronic diseases. 80% of us by the time we're 65. That's just staggering. And then more than 75% of the healthcare costs are due to these chronic conditions, long-term conditions. $2.1 trillion industry, and who's in it? So pretty significant numbers from a health perspective and from a dollar perspective. We're going to be speaking today about the health aspects. And so with that, we'd like to ask you to think about, how is your heart? What about the people around you, your family, your loved ones, your community? And we're going to show some maps and information about the rise of heart disease. And so first things first, heart disease, it includes many disorders of the heart. Some people are very confused out there. It is the #1 killer or cause of death in the U.S. It accounts for 36% of deaths annually. In 2010, heart disease will cost an estimated $316.4 billion in healthcare, medicine, and lost productivity for the individual. On the right-hand side of the screen up here, there's various types of heart disease: coronary heart disease, arrhythmia, and heart failure. So for both men and women, heart disease kills the largest number of Americans per year. And as I was doing some research into this, I came out and found that actually heart disease is the largest killer of women, well above breast cancer. And I'll show some figures on that here in a minute. So according to the American Heart Association, heart disease causes heart attacks and strokes, kills more people than all forms of cancer combined. We're really concerned. We hear a lot about cancer on the news, cancer around our neighborhoods and our friends and our loved ones, but this heart disease is much larger than the cancer problem. Quit smoking and eat a diet low in fat and sodium to cut your risk. This is, information straight from CDC. So matters of your heart, I'm going to start down here at the bottom part of the blue where it says every 25 seconds, an American will have a coronary event. Every 39 seconds, someone dies from heart disease and stroke. All right. And just hop right over here to the right. 1 of every 3 deaths in the United States is caused by heart disease or stroke. That's pretty significant, those facts. Out of that, 60% of the adults don't even know their blood pressure or their cholesterol numbers. So we're just not paying attention. And this is the problem I found in talking to people about this in my life and in my family and in my neighborhood. So 56% of the adults have been told by a healthcare professional to improve their health. And Ron, you were probably told that before you had your heart attack. And we'll get into that in a minute, and so the deal is it's very hard for humans to change their behavior. So here, 83%, they believe that the heart attacks and stroke can be prevented, but they aren't motivated to do anything. And that just baffles me. So 83% of Americans can't do anything about it because they don't know how to get motivated to take action. 99% of Americans need to improve their heart health. Just think about 99% of all Americans. Just look at your surrounding community, your society that you live in, that you have reach, and just think 99% probably needs something that you have to offer in regards to health of the heart. Okay, 72% don't consider themselves at risk, and 58% put no effort into improving their heart health. So pretty shocking statistics there. This is all I pulled from the internet. It was strokeassociation.org is the source. This is a really ugly graph. I'm sorry. The key thing I want to point out here is the percentage of adults reporting heart disease from a New Hampshire study and from an NIH study in 2009. The number one thing I want to pull out here is that they had inadequate fruit and vegetable consumption, 72.4% and 76%, just because inadequate diet. And you can see they're talking about the diabetes, cigarette smoking, the effects, but the larger effect was the diet. Pretty interesting statistics. The graph doesn't show too well, but it's important about the numbers. So with that, it's the number one killer of women. And I don't know that most women really understand this. It's more, we see a lot of women and movements happening in our society about breast cancer and breast cancer day. And I'm sure there's heart disease day, but it's not as well known in my communities anyway about this significant fact that it's the number one killer of women. Here they're showing some of the heart attack symptoms, but to improve this, there's some basic things that one can do. Increasing exercise, following a healthy diet, which we talked about, that was one of the big causes. Finding ways to cope with stress. And we'll reference that here later as we talk about some of the prevention. And then knowing your family history, and then not smoking. So again, leading cause of death for women, heart disease ranks number one with 356,000 per year in the United States, versus breast cancer only has 41,514 per year. These are also statistics from the CDC. So with that, I just want to paint a map real quick of heart disease death rates from 2008 to 2010, ages 35 and up by county. And if you just look at those staggering geospatial view of this problem throughout our nation, it's quite shocking. And if you just sit back and absorb that for a minute and think, well, what can you do to have an impact on this? That's a quality question that I think every Nikken consultant should consider. And then figure out, where do you live on the map, where you're from, where do you live, and can your reach be to reach out and try to help some of these Americans that are having heart problems. So, want to know my future? What about the babies out there? What about these kids coming into this world with such a large rate and a growing rate of heart disease? We won't get into that, but I want everybody to think about, we've got the adults that are suffering, but we also have children that are suffering from obesity and some other stuff. Now, this chart's showing different diseases, but I just want to talk about, these kids can't speak for themselves, but we need to consider their case as well. So with that, Dr. Ash, we'd like to have you comment on heart disease and what you know, and give us a little bit of details from a medical perspective, and just discuss with us and share with us some knowledge that we can give to Nikken consultants and future Nikken consultants and customers.
Sure. Well, I think obviously the statistics speak for themselves there. I would make the comment when you're talking about babies that we believe that this generation is the first generation that will not outlive their parents because of chronic disease, the main one, which is obesity, which creates diabetes, which creates hypertension, which creates heart disease. I guess the other comment that I would make, Rick, is that when you look at the statistics between heart disease and breast cancer, and you see how low that number is, it probably in part is due to the great education that has happened as a result of people like the Coleman Foundation having the walks and educating people. So we're getting mammograms, we have grants for getting mammograms done and early detection, et cetera. Therefore, we have women who get breast cancer but do not die of breast cancer. And that's significantly improved since I started in practice in the 1980s. So, of significant interest. And if you go back to your slide where, if you could go back one more slide. Oh, no, this one over on that one, the next one. Yeah, over on the left, you talk about the killer of women, and if you look at the metabolic syndrome, that's both women and men, and we talk about abdominal girth and storing. Whenever you can see fat in the midriff, then you know that fat is being put around the heart. And that's a significant thing. And from there comes the diabetes, and the diabetes creates this inflammatory response. And we used to think that heart attacks were all really about, high cholesterol levels, et cetera. But then they did a bunch of studies on people who had low cholesterols who were also having strokes and heart attacks. And it's really not about that. It's really about inflammation. And to hook that back up, we can talk about the low low intake of fruits and vegetables. Well, those fruits and vegetables are the things that are anti-inflammatories. They are antioxidants, and we're not eating enough of them fresh. Should be up to 8 to 9 a day servings of fresh fruits and vegetables. Those are antioxidants, and antioxidants are anti-inflammatories, and anti-inflammatories are what help to make the blood vessels healthy. And if you have inflammation, then the body tries to fix the inflammation by putting cholesterol in there, kind of like a Band-Aid to soothe it. And we're going after the Band-Aid instead of after the cause. So diet, exercise, and nutrition. If we can lose as little as 10 pounds, we can have people's blood pressure be under control without medication. 10 pounds doesn't mean they have to get down to their ideal body weight. But if, as you look, you just see that our population is growing in obesity. We're becoming more and more couch potatoes. We're constantly exposed to electronics. The kids are sitting in front of the television. I think I saw a statistic that the average American spends 5 hours in front of the TV every day.
Absolutely.
How in the world they come up with that and find that amount of time. But basically they just kind of tune out. We don't get any walking, any kind of exercise. And I think one of the really exciting things that's coming up, I'm not a super great component of the Macs, et cetera, but I do have an iPhone. But I think the iWatch is going to be really interesting, because people who decide to invest in the iWatch are going to be starting to walk and see how much exercise they're doing. And I know, just for fun, in one of the urgent cares that I worked in, I put my walk in my pocket on my iPhone in my lab coat, and I walked over 4 hours 4 miles in an 8-hour day. Well, that's a lot different than when I'm sitting in front of a computer screen doing telemedicine. So I think getting us back into exercise, getting our weight down, which then decreases the diabetes, which then decreases the hypertension, which then stops the inflammation of the coronary arteries, decreases the need for cholesterol to repair it, and we've got the answer. So diet and nutrition, it's something we've always talked about in medicine, but it is one of the tougher things to get patients to get started with.
So Dr. Ash, let me ask you, what do you think a daily method of operation or practice for an individual that they should adopt, somebody who has heart disease? What do you think they should do from a daily perspective? Well,
they need to basically be getting a good night's sleep. Okay, and the reason that a good night's sleep is really, really important is that at nighttime is when our immune system, if we get down into stage 3 and 4 sleep, our immune system repairs itself, and it goes around the body, and it also repairs the normally dying cells and the abnormal cells like viruses, bacteria, and cancer. But we also affect the cortisol production, and cortisol is a response to stress. Whenever we have that response to stress that creates cortisol and adrenaline, then we have that inflammatory process that's going on. So the first thing that everybody needs to be getting is a good night's sleep, and a good night's sleep is a lot more than 5 or 6 hours. It's really in around the 8 hour of good sleep, and that means sleep that's uninterrupted, so that you can smoothly go down and come back up, and go down and come back up through the stages of the 4 stages of sleep and REM. The next thing that they need to be doing is they need to be detoxifying themselves and hydrating themselves, because if you don't have enough water on board, what happens is you're asking your heart muscle to push around a lot of sludge. The other thing that happens is that the waste products of metabolism will kind of pool in outside of the cells, and it will cause us to feel lethargic, and it will cause us to have different types of discomforts, different places, and we really need to be detoxifying ourselves by flushing everything through the kidneys with good water. So the rule of thumb for that is half your body weight in ounces of water a day, and for every 25 pounds overweight that you are, another glass of water, because what we know is we can't burn fat if we don't have water on board. And I can guarantee you that the majority of people that I work with, I ask them how much water they drink, and it's maybe 1 or 2 bottles a day. On top of that, if they happen to be caffeine drinkers, and caffeine is really, really bad for us. It's something that speeds our heart up. It makes it pound. And we need to have 2 more glasses of water for every caffeine we have because it's a dehydrating drink.
Right.
So we already know we're not drinking enough water. We know we're not having enough fruits and vegetables, and we know we're not doing any kind of exercising. Just walking, just 10,000 steps is what the American Diabetes Association tries to get people. And if you put a pedometer on, you would be amazed at how few steps you walk if you're sedentary. So just starting with measuring how many steps you take a day so that you know.
Very interesting. Okay. Second question, and then we'll move on with some comments from Ron. But the second question that we typically want to ask and share out here is, let me go to the next couple of slides. So some of the products that we've discussed before with some heart potentials are from Nikken are the Siaga and Burgestol, and these products that we're showing here on the screen, the J Green enzymes, 10-4, of course, down here with the magnetic seat cushion, the sleep system, the insoles, the magnetic necklaces, the sport bracelets and necklaces, and then, of course, the water system, the Pymag waterfall. Out of these products, when, where, and how should a person with heart disease use these Nikken products?
Well, as I recommend for anybody and everybody with chronic disease, always start with water, water, water. So we know that the body does better in an alkaline state, and because of the foods we eat and the things we drink, we tend to be more acidic. Cancer and infection grows better according to research in an acid environment, and our waterfall is really the best on the market for the price, with it keeping our water at a high alkaline rate between 8.5 and 9.5. So I already mentioned how much water, et cetera, and how important it is. 70% of our body is water. We need to have good water. The waterfall is where I would start. The next thing I mentioned was how important sleep was to our immune system, to our energy, to decreasing our stressors, et cetera. And so the sleep system would be a way to control 8 hours of your life. Now, we know that jade green enzymes are basically a perfect food. I always say that if we're a whale, we can live on spirulina, and if we're a people, we can live on barley grass. And this is the highest order of barley grass that there is. It's a perfect food, and it's a base, it's a foundation. So everybody should have a serving of that every day. Now let's go back to your. We don't have to change back, but let's think about the slide you had that we needed to have 7 to 9 fruits and vegetables a day. Well, Nikken has the answer to that with the Siaga. I think it's one before that, Rick. Right there. The inadequate fruit and vegetable consumption was the highest on that chart. So if you'll go back to the products, the Siaga is really quite amazing, and the C stands for cardiac health. Basically, the main fruit in the Siaga is the maqui berry, which comes from Patagonia in Chile. And of interest, there's an ozone hole in that particular area, and so the maqui berry has to make a lot of antioxidants in order to protect itself. And it therefore has some of the highest antioxidant levels of any of the berries. And Nikken has put it in this drink where we just have 1 ounce a day and get 21 different fruits and extracts. So if you don't live in Southern California and you can't go out in your yard and pick a fresh, organically grown fruit or vegetable that's fresh and eat it, and you don't have time to buy it or prepare it, this is the easy way to take it. There's no water, there's no sugar, there's no preservatives, and it tastes really, really good, and you just have 1 ounce of it. The other one is the bergisterol, and bergisterol is made from bergamot fruit, and there's some really amazing studies about bergisterol. When I first heard Annie Ng speak, and she's the researcher that developed both the bergisterol and the Siaga, and I would refer anybody to go to YouTube and search for Annie Ng and bergisterol, and she does about a 19 or 20-minute presentation about both of those products, showing the research behind them. But they studied the bergamot fruit, which is the Bergisterol's foundation, and found that it really had significant, I mean significant decreases in all areas of cholesterol that we need to lower. Total cholesterol was lowered, the bad cholesterol LDL was lowered, and actually it's the oxidation of LDL that causes the plaque formation in the blood vessels. And if we give antioxidants to the body, then the LDL doesn't oxidize and we don't get the vessel damage. So that's what Ciaga and Bergisterol do, is they provide those antioxidants. In addition, it increased the HDL, the happy guys, the good guys, something like 40%. And I can tell you, since we came out with the statin type drugs, and bergamot is a statin-like fruit, it has statin-like capabilities, but since we came out with the statin drugs, I have never had anything that brings up HDL, not let alone 40%. And that's the happy guys that go in and they rotor and they keep our blood vessels clean. Usually the only thing that we knew that would affect HDL in a positive way was if you were a smoker, stop smoking, and if you weren't exercising, to start exercising. So somebody who's very fit and exercising a lot, you'll see high levels of HDL, and that's really what we want to have. But in addition, on top of that, the Bergisterol also lowers triglycerides. Now, in Western medicine, if I have to prescribe a statin for somebody and they have high triglycerides, I also have to prescribe a prescription to lower their triglycerides, because not one drug will take care of all four of those, not to mention the side effects that we have from the statins. Well, there's no side effects from Bergisterol, and you get a good effect in all the right ways with taking that once a day.
Wow, very interesting. Great knowledge shared out there about these products and mitigating some of these issues that we're seeing in society across the United States. Thank you, Dr. Ash. It just shocks me that, we have such a simple response, but we can't change our behavior to really mitigate this disease and get it down to the breast cancer numbers or even lower, maybe to where it doesn't exist at all. And we hope that Nikken 2.0 will give us greater tools and access to do that for the people in our communities. So, okay, Ron, you're up. I want to ask you a question, sir, with your background as a heart patient. Give us a little bit about what happened with your heart disease, your situation, how the whole heart attack situation happened, how you got into Nikken.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I got into Nikken from a friend that found out I had back problems. So after going to a few wellness consultant meetings, I joined and started using the magnetic products, and that was one. And finally got into the nutritionals as they came out, and kept improving on those.
Was this after your heart attacks? Before? When was this?
First heart attack was in '95, and the second heart attack was in 2000.
Okay, you got into when?
Yeah, I got into Nikken in 2003. So I was doing real good on the sleep system and drinking the water and different magnet products. But I wasn't taking too many of the nutritionals. I forgot when J enzyme started with it. And I tried every diet possible and several different medications for high cholesterol. And I've been fighting high cholesterol for 35, 40 years, anywhere from 250 to 425. And so I have found out with Ciaga and J Greenzyme, and I take the bone back. I guess they help me the most. And when I do, I also take the Bergisterol. And
so what are the results been? What are the doctors saying now that you're taking these Nikken products? How's that comparing
Well,
with the
as
medicine?
I started, yeah, I was on 5 different medications, and Nikken kind of scolded me on my webpage for listing those that I don't take anymore. So I'm not going to say what they were. So I take 1 blood pressure pill now, 5 milligrams, and every time I go for blood work, my doctor is my cardiologist and my regular family doctor, and he knows about Nikken. And he just says, continue taking your nutritionals and drinking plenty of water, and you're doing fine, because he cannot find anything wrong with my blood work except for high cholesterol. And everything I've tried, it just won't bring it down. Most time it's a little over 300.
So let me ask you, Ron, how long do you think it took for you to start getting an effect from the Nikken products once you started taking them? How long did it take to feel the difference and to have a positive improvement?
Well, I'd say within a month or so. It happened overnight, except with magnets. I mean, I could feel the difference with the insoles just in a few minutes. And I slept better on the sleep system, so that's a good thing there. And but I wasn't watching what I was eating back when I had open heart surgery in 2013. I was doing real good on no medicine whatsoever, no prescriptions, but I wasn't eating real good, and I'd already had 5 stents. So when I had that other heart attack in 2013, I needed quadruple bypass. So they did that, and the vein or artery, ever which one it is, they take out of your leg and do the bypass with. Well, 4 months later, I had another heart attack, and come to find out I had blockage in 2 of the arteries, or 2 of the bypass veins, or whatever they call them. And I couldn't get straight answer on that, but that's another story. So Ciaga has really helped me with my heart problems, and it's just, Ciaga and progesterol is awesome.
So how are you feeling
when
now?
I miss a day.
Right. So now that you're on these,
I feel great.
How do you feel now?
I feel great now. I got a birthday tomorrow. I'll be 69, and I don't feel like I'm 69. I feel like I did back when I was in my mid-30s or 40 maybe.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a quick question, Rick, if I can. Were you a smoker before when you were riding those motorcycles around all 300,000 miles?
No, never been a smoker.
Okay. Then one other comment, for those folks who don't eat like they're supposed to, it's sometimes kind of overwhelming to have to try to figure out what should I eat and what shouldn't I eat. I have a quick little trick that I'd like to share, and that is read the label and look at how many calories come from one serving of whatever it is that you're eating. And if the total calories from fat are more than 1/3 of the serving calories, don't eat it. So for instance, if the serving gives you 100 calories, then the fat calories shouldn't be more than 30 calories or 33 calories. If it's 40 calories or 50 calories per serving, just don't eat it. And if people start to read the labels on boxes, they're going to significantly change what they eat, and they're going to be blown away by what they're feeding us that we're buying at the grocery store. The other little trick is that never shop in the middle of the store. Always shop around the edges of the store, because that's where all the fresh things are, with the exception of they put the delis and the bakeries on the edge of the store now. So read the labels on those, I guess, and that'll help you. But those are 2 little tricks that may make a difference for folks. And the other thing is that the magnetic products help to relax muscle, and arteries are made of smooth muscle. And so when you're sleeping in or using bracelets or using necklaces or using insoles, you're basically relaxing arteries and improving circulation. And many of you may have seen the thermographic imaging of time lapse of the feet of a diabetic. And we know that a lot of times we can prevent amputation if we can just get antibiotics and good blood supply to somebody's infected ulcer if they're a diabetic. Well, that's exactly what happens that you see in thermographic imaging is that the blood supply increases. And that's then once again giving the body what it needs to heal itself. It takes away the waste products, it brings in the nutrition, it brings in the antibiotics if somebody's on that. And that's what happens with magnetics. So it improves blood flow all the way around and makes the body work more easily and less hard.
Awesome. Let me ask both of you a question. And Dr. Ash, if you could respond first. So what are the top 3 lasting effects of your use of Nikken products?
Well, you know, I'm kind of a energizer bunny, and I can usually run circles around a lot of people that I work, and I have this major work ethic. And what I found is that sleeping on the sleep system got me an extra hour in the day, because I wasn't languishing in bed in the morning saying, oh, do I really have to get up yet? I used to laugh and say when I ran my urgent care, I would never be the person who opened. I'd always have another doctor in there first, because at night I could do 7 things, but not 8. But in the morning I could only do 1. Well, now I'm up and at 'em and ready to go. So for me, it has been a lot of energy. I feel younger. I do pretty much anything that I want to do. I ride horses. I windsurf. I Hobie kayak. I scuba dive. I just don't feel my age. And the other thing is that sometimes when I get really, really busy, I don't have time or take time or make time to, cook like the way I should. But because I start my day with a Vital Balance shake and with the Siaga in it and the jade green zymes, and I drink my water and I have my energy products, I at least have the foundation so that if I make a mistake the rest of the day, the body isn't struggling because it doesn't have anything basically to start out with. So that's another thing we should have on here that I highly recommend for heart disease is the Vital Balance, because it gives us good protein, it feeds our brain, and it will help us to lose weight. And with diabetics, both the bergisterol, the Siaga, and the Vital Balance can help to lower sugar, according to some of the studies that Annie Eng did. So, and some of the things that the research that they did with the Vital Balance. So something for people to look into. And I hate breakfast. I hate breakfast, Rick. So to be able to have a shake that's all healthy and nutrition and that's quick, I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I got to say one thing about the breakfast, the Kinsen Vital Balance. Not only that, but I've noticed my immune system is better because my gut is functioning properly. And in studying a little bit of medicine in Asia, they've taught me that, a clean gut is one of the key fundamentals to having a good immune system.
By the age of 50, we've lost 50% of our digestive enzymes. And if you actually look at older people in their 70s and their 80s, they're basically very little muscle, very little fat, and a lot of skin and bones. And that's because they're basically malnourished. They're not absorbing what they need to absorb. And they're not eating good nutrition, and they don't usually have a big appetite, so they don't eat volumes. And so when you can give them something like a shot of 1 ounces of the Siaga, and you can give them the barley grass, and you can give them our digestive enzymes, and they can have lactoferrin that helps the gut to absorb. Now we don't have malnourished anymore.
Absolutely. Wow. I didn't realize that. So,
Dr. Ash, can you guys hear me?
I can.
I have a quick question for you. You don't have to answer this, but I think some of our viewers might be a little curious as to what your age is. Do you dare reveal?
I'm 39.
You're 39.
No, I don't have.
Actually,
the only person who lied about her age was my 102-year-old grandmother, and we had her 100th birthday, and she kept saying she was 99, but she really was 101. No, I'm 64. I'm 64. Wow. I always say the 39 because my dad always said he was 39, and when I started to catch up with him, I had to stop having birthdays, or I was going to pass him. But I'm 64.
Wow, what an inspiration to have all that energy and health at 64. And I run into a lot of people. I hang around, and I'm around some older people than I am, and they seem to always come across and say, well, it's kind of getting towards the end, isn't it? And I keep looking at them like, you're crazy, man. You got 40 years left.
They have no purpose. They have to have a purpose. I think the statistics show that a high percentage of people die within 6 months of retiring because they basically lose their purpose. That's one of the great things about Nikken and the Nikken profession is that as wellness consultants, we always have a purpose. We never want to quit, because why would you ever quit doing something that's so much fun and helps so many people?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Awesome. So Ron, let's hop to you right quick. I know you're chopping at the bit here, so let me ask the question again. What are the top 3 lasting effects of your use of the Nikken products? I know, you're alive. That's one thing, so you can go from there.
Yeah, well, I have plenty of energy, and I don't like to lay in the bed late every morning like some people I know do. So I like to get up and get my morning going, and first thing I do is the J Greenzyme and Ciaga and my nutritionals, and I take the Bone Pack and the Kenzen 4 for Men, and I have my water bottle with me all day, and if I do need a little more energy during the day, like that 10-4 new product Nikken just come out with, it's awesome, and it don't give you those jittery. I was never one into energy drinks, because I heard too many bad stories about they give you the jitters and let down feeling and all that.
Increased acid
stuff. Yeah. So, and of course, the insoles every day is just gives me plenty of energy, and so it's just it's awesome the way I feel. I mean, I can talk to people my age, and I think they're 10 years older than me, because I know a lot of them that went to school with me. So it's amazing how much more energy and the better you feel.
Oh, very cool.
If I could make a comment about the 10-4 and the matcha tea that's in there, the number 1 healthiest country in the world is Japan. And that's where this company originated, was in Japan. And they had statistics that something like 25% of the population of Japan was still working on a certain island in Japan at the age of 100, and their average life expectancy was 125. And if you study anything about the Japanese, what you know is they have green tea. They drink green tea, green tea, green tea. Well, matcha tea is green tea, and it's the highest level of green tea of any of the teas. And so it's really considered the champagne, basically, of teas in Japan. And our company has sought out the best that there is in this. The other thing that's significant, Rick, the other thing that's significant is that it doesn't pull the calcium out of your bones the way coffee does. And so anybody who is aging, and men get osteoporosis the same as women, the thing is that you start out with a denser bone in the first place, so you can lose more of it before you see the side effects of it. But we're not leaching calcium in order to compensate for the acidity of coffee. And if you don't believe it, then just take a really dirty penny and stick it in some coffee or a Coke and see what happens to it. See how shiny and bright it becomes, because the acid in the coffee basically leaches all that stuff off of it.
Right. One comment about Coke. I just read an article the other day that actually it was Pepsi. Pepsi gave a legal response to a guy who claimed that he found a mouse in his Coke. And when they went to court, Pepsi won the court case because they proved that a mouse its body couldn't survive in Pepsi because of all the acid. And that's how they won that was their defense, and they won. So what a telling story about the acid that's in these sodas and soft drinks. And I got to tell you, too, in chemistry in high school, we took Coca-Cola and we cut the lid off. We put a rat in there, and it ate it down. Within days, we were down at the bone.
Yeah, bad stuff.
We got white. It was just real. I didn't know what was going on. But anyway, very interesting. Go ahead, Maria.
Rick, I think Dr. Elcombe is going to have to leave us here in a second.
Yeah.
So I thought, Dr. Elcombe, we'll just one last question before you sign off here is just, what is your advice to people who want to prevent heart disease in their life and the lives of their loved ones? just any last advice that you would give?
Well, I think as we talked, diet and exercise is certainly a way to start. But the things that we've talked about today, living in a wellness home, learning about all the things that Nikken has to offer, and there's plenty of information out there on YouTube. Like you can check in Annie Ng's research that she did on the Ciaga and the Bergisterol. But basically just putting yourself in an environment the way we used to live, back when we used to pat on the earth and grow around fruits and vegetables and hunt our food and get away from preservatives and just kind of think about some of the things we've mentioned on this conference so far. Shop only on the outer skirts of the grocery store. Get 10,000 steps a day. Make sure that you don't have that extra abdominal fat. Sleep 8 hours a night that's uninterrupted. Flush yourself with good, clean, alkaline water. Have a foundation in vitamins, minerals, and food, so that the other things you eat, if they're empty calories, is not going to hurt you as much because your body's got what it needs to keep its cells going.
Hey, okay, very good. But I'm not going to let you off with that right quick. I know you got to run. I've got one serious question for you. And this is for our Nikken family. So what is your recommendation to all the Nikken consultants and future consultants and our clients and customers relative to Nikken 2.0? What's your recommendation on this video call to all the Nikken people?
Well, that's really easy, Rick. Basically, they need to get in. And they need to set up their auto ship. We've talked about a lot of things that can be 10% off a wholesale by being put on auto ship today, and then start to share that with people that they know who will become customers, and do at least 500 points a month, and find 3 people who want to do the same, who want to find 3 more, who want to find 3 more. And then what happens is you're living in a wellness home and having a wellness business, and you're basically impacting the world, helping them to be in balance in 5 areas: mind, body, family, society, and finances. And everybody needs to know what we know to make good choices. That was a really easy question, Rick. Sorry, you're gonna have to stump the doc with a tougher one than that next time.
Okay, I'll do better. My question.
Everybody, I got to go to work on telemedicine, so have a good one.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ash. I appreciate it so much. Okay, so with that, I'm going to drive on. I got some more information here in the slide deck. So we've discussed a lot of this good information about, what a heart disease survivor, a doc who works on heart patients, has taught in universities about medicine. So it's clear and present that we have an exit that we need to take to get into the avenue of good health. And when you're taking this exit off of mainstream society and you're looking at good health, what does it take? Shopping on the outskirts of the aisles, making proper decisions, eating right, sleeping right. You really need to ask yourself, what are the keys to good health? We've talked about some of those here today. But, have you ever thought about it? What are the keys to good health for you, for your family? Let's discuss that a little bit. So the key vital elements of life from our perspective and from science at a fundamental level is water, nutrition, talked about that here today, sleep. What we really haven't talked a lot about is our environment, which is air and light. And so these are what we consider as the 5 core components to a vital life. Without these, how long can you live? Just think about that. Water. Do you know the quality of your water you're drinking now? Do you know if it's got minerals in it or not, or fluoride or not? Or what about chlorine? What about the air you're breathing? Is it toxic? Is it fumes off your carpets or your woods or the new linoleum floors and stuff that are getting put down? What about your sleep? Is it 4 hours or is it 8 hours? Key elements of life. And if you didn't have these, how long will you live? So, your body, you need to understand your body's requirements. I think as individuals and as Nikken consultants and people who are watching this video here today, you need to start doing some research and listening to some elders, reading some documents, doing some research online via Google Scholar, and some other things, and look up and start learning about the body's requirements for wellness. Time Magazine's published a couple good editions that talks about this. Those are worth keeping. I have my own copy, and I recommend you get yours. And then when we talk about the chemicals that are in our environment, what does it take for our body to reduce the body burden of these toxic chemicals? They're in your mattresses, they're in your shampoos, they're in the water you're showering in. Did you know? Do you know? Are you going to know? If so, what are you going to do? What's your action in life to mitigate that, or at least learn about it? And if you don't want to, then that's fine. But that's not the life that we're going to be living, because we're vital, highly energetic people. We will live to be close to 100, probably making babies up until about 90. So it's real easy, people. I mean, it's almost like hitting an easy button when you follow some of the steps and guidelines that some of these ancient cultures have laid out for us, and Nikken has kind of captured that in their products. So we'll find a simple way to do it, and the problem is most people won't do it, because changing that behavior is such an issue, especially in America. We're so brainwashed by the news, the media, and the people telling us how to act, that that's how we act. We can't think for ourselves. So I challenge you, begin some knowledge of your own, and then start acting on it, some praxis of applying knowledge to your own life to change your own behavior, to increase productivity and vitality in your own lifestyle, improving your health and the health of your family and loved ones and your neighbors and your community that you live in and serve. You have choices to make, right? So what if there was a way to do this for your body? What if there was a way to reduce this chemical environment around your body every day and mitigate the burden that it goes through with all these contaminants? What if it was as easy as hitting an easy button?
Absolutely, Rick.
So just think about this. And so we want to talk about those ifs, and the way that Nikken, we propose that people do the mitigating the burdens of the environment and increasing the vitality of your body and your life is through what we call a Nikken Wellness Home. And it's very simple. The Nikken Wellness Home improves your wellness of life, your vitality, and I mean, just think about it. So all my kids, they have a sleep system, and when I'm traveling out and about, and I know that they're in a good air, they're in a good sleep system, and I provided the best that I can for myself, my wife, my kids, so that when they go to bed at night, they're getting the best that the world has to offer, and that's through the wellness home. When they're sitting in the shower, they're not using chemicals. Uh-oh, I lost somebody. Are we there?
I think we've lost Mater.
Yeah, I'm back.
All
Sorry.
right, Ron, you might need to mute your phone there, Ron, just a little bit. Got a lot of noise. But so back to the Nikken Wellness Home. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. It's about clean air, products that bring clean and fresh water at home and on the move. We have whole food nutrition, which we talked a little bit about, the nutritional supplements and the Siaga and the progesterol for heart disease and mitigating or responding to heart problems, heart disease. Natural light, which is good for the eyes, good for energy, and good for seasonal. It's the seasons where people get depressed, and I use them at home and in the office. We also have quality sleep and advanced magnetics that we wear out on the move or that we sit on and use while we're at home. So these are the components of a Nikken Wellness Home. And here's a quote. Nikken is a complete wellness company that through research and development, over 40 years now actually, they produce and distribute products that touch upon each of the vital areas of healthy living: restful sleep, clean air, clean water, balanced nutrition, and natural light. Now, this is from Healthy Child, Healthy World, a nonprofit organization that's a trusted partner with Nikken. And you can search more details about this by searching Google with Nikken plus Healthy Child, Healthy World. And go check out Healthy Child, Healthy World as well at healthychild.org and learn more about what they have to offer. This is all about mitigating our current environment, our current chronic illnesses, and they're really focused on improving the environment and the life conditions for children. And here at Nikken, we're about doing that for everybody, including ourselves and the adults and even elderly people. So with that, Nikken is the only total wellness company in the world. What other company is dealing with air, water, sleep, nutrition, and light? Name me another wellness company in the world that is a total wellness. Anybody? So total wellness company, the only one in the world. We have a lot to offer you guys, but it's really about your choices in life. There's 2 of them. And since women were the topic, kind of this heart disease as the #1 killer for women, these 2 women are approximately the same age. They probably have expended the same amount of dollars in life, right? But they end up with 2 different results based on their choices. Now just take a look at that. Which life are you designing for yourself? If you start with the end in mind, that's a quality life. And that's what we propose in Nikken. And in my coaching and my talking to veterans and their families and my Nikken consultants, start with the end in mind. And this picture is a great example of what that end in mind should look like to the right. That's just a pretty beautiful woman. And they're the same age. They probably expended about the same amount of dollars. One was focused on prevention. The other was focused on reacting and following what the medical industry and our society pushes today. So is drugs and surgery the choice, or is natural healing better? Is a nursing home the choice, or is a wellness home more logical? Is sick care, long-term sick care, a good choice, or is prevention a better choice? Which one do you prefer? It's all about choices. It really, really disturbs me about the decision-making that we have here in America. And I got to tell you, people, Nikken 2.0, we're here. We're coming after. We're going to come after you. We're going to be there to help you. We're going to need your help. We're going to need your proper decision-making and understanding of this lifestyle choices that you have to make. And you start making those good choices. And when you open that first door of a Nikken Wellness Home, you're going to see so many other doors start to open. When you get your vitality back, when you get your total wellness back, so many other doors start to happen. You go other places in life, you do more, you love more, your heart opens up. There's so many things to talk about here. This picture showing the possibilities about good decisions, bad decisions. So we recommend, and I highly push and recommend that you make good decisions and begin to open those doors so that we can all have a life in balance. And specifically, you can have your life in balance with a balanced and solid body, mind, family, society, and finances, mitigating stresses, mitigating the bad environments that we have to live in. We're not going to get away from them, but we can sure do our best to mitigate them. And so with that, Maria, Ron, any other last comments?
Rick, great job. I think what Dr. Ekholm said about just everything that she shared about chronic disease and that you shared, when she pointed out that this could be the first generation we're going to see that won't outlive their parents, I think that's very powerful, because the only thing that's really changed is our environment from what our parents, other things have changed, but primarily our environment. That's a lot what we're talking about here is our environment, and we have the power to change it. We have the power to make things different for our families, and it's easy. It's so easy to get a water system, to change out your bed, to add some nutritionals to your family, to get a seat cushion for your family. Get a light. They're easy changes, and that's what I love so much about Nikken and what it offers is that we can change our environment in a very easy way. And it doesn't require a lot from us, and it doesn't require a lot from our family or loved ones. And so, I just, one of the things that I like to ask people when I'm talking to them is, what do you think is the most toxic part of your environment right now? Your water, your air, your bed? What do you think? And then change that. Make a change. Don't continue to live with that. Don't settle for less. Don't settle for water that has toxins in it. Do not settle for a bed that is not providing you optimal sleep. And don't breathe air that is causing you to be sick. And pay attention to those things, like you said, Rick. Do a little research. Find out what's in your water. Find out about the chemicals that could be coming out of your carpet, out of your paint. Anyway, and that's all I'd like to share, Rick. Great job.
Good. Yeah. So thank you, Maria. That's pretty important. We discuss that a lot with people. It's kind of shocking, and sometimes it scares people. But how scary is it if you don't think about those things, if you don't ask those questions and seek a better quality life, especially if you're a parent? So, I mean, that's our job. And Nikken has a solution that you can utilize to help fight and respond to this environment. The other thing I'd add to that, Maria, I think one thing we need to add to the environmental piece is the other thing that's changed is food. Nutrition in the United States has drastically changed as we've seen the proliferation of fast foods and the changing of production of food. It's really hurt us as a nation. And as a military member, I even think that stuff has hurt our national security. Our health situation right now here in America is a national security concern. And, I can't really affect that at the strategic scale, but I think we're starting to see some shifts where that is changing. And we're going to get our health back and get back to Mother Earth and be a little bit more natural in our approach to living. Ron, any comments? He's probably on mute, or he got off the call. So, okay, everybody, thank you. Again, the central part of this is that we're high-spirited people from Nikken. As Nikken Wellness Consultants, we live a balanced life. We're trying to help everybody else live that balanced life. Our disclaimer stands. Again, we don't make any medical claims, but we've got a lot of testimonies and a lot of other third-party people that are telling the stories about how well the products help with response to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stress, micro traumas, you name it. The Nikken products can help your body respond to those environments. So our next knowledge talk is tentatively scheduled right now for April 10th at 6 p.m. We'll get invites out to the select few that will be invited, and so we can have a quality recording. So everybody, thank you, and good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Maria.
All right. I
Thank you.
enjoyed it.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.